This general tone is to be found both in the early and the later Vedic phases, and the central feature is actually represented by the performances of sacrifices or yajnas. In most cases, we shall find that the yajnas are being made in order to achieve or in order to gain some kind of boons which were materialistic in nature. And the yajnas were performed by the priestly classes on behalf of the yajmanas, on behalf of whom the worshipper, actual worshipper. From all the descriptions that we find, we see that generally such things were asked for, like cattle, wealth, male progeny, food, and long life and very good health and all that thing. But more important was that with time we find that there was a garnering of public performances of yajnas, which became actually venues for wealth exchange also, and also for asserting supremacy, both in terms of sacerdotal supremacy as well as political supremacy, because the priests were functioning on behalf of the kings who were aspiring to legitimize their claims of authority, political authority over the people through the performances of these yajnas. So the yajnas became the principal practices of the days, and they also became tools of expressions of power, both for the priestly classes as well as for the ruling classes. And a lot of wealth exchanged hands through these sacrifices. We find there is a reference in the Rig Veda which actually spells out the philosophical side of the yajnas also, and that is the hymn which is in which we find the Purusha Sukta. The Purusha Sukta is actually reference to a very high kind of yajna, where the first victim, the original victim, was the original primal being, from whose body, after he was victimized in the yajna, arose the entire universe with, and the first enunciation of the fourfold caste system is also there. Of course, it is mentioned in terms of the human occupation groups, but later on it will transform into the rigid caste system. So it seems that both for laying down the political patterns as well as for laying down a social order, the yajnas became the medium, and they were the source of expression of authority.
Ma'am, sacrifices set one kind of tone for the Rigvedic religion, but there was a far more philosophical approach to it, which can be observed in the various texts.
We see that philosophical speculations and deep inquiries into facts of creationism is there from the very beginning, even in the Rig Veda. For example, in the second mandala we find a question like where is he, or verily it is said about him that he does not exist. So this is a question about the existence of God or a creator as such. There was a belief in nothingness, something preceding existence. So these kind of speculations we also get in the later portions of the Rig Veda. For example, there's a beautiful hymn, the Nasadiya Sukta, where a dialogue between a teacher, a master and his disciple is played out, where they transcend all kind of ordered practices of rituals, etc., and go beyond to questioning the biggest questions asked throughout the world from time immemorial, is that from where do we come to exist? So these big questions have been asked, and a lot of answers have been presumably put forward. For example, some thoughts are that the whole existence of the universe came from the Hiranyagarbha, that is sun. And like Purusha Sukta, we have the idea of a supreme, abstract supreme being from whom all universe had been originating. And also there is the idea that Vishwakarman, the god, the divine architect, had actually sculpted the world out of nothingness. So all these things are there for us to observe and see.